A cat on my path. You look like Garfield. Oh, you doing that? Oh my god, you're so cute. Oh my god. I love it. Thank you, universe. What's your name? You definitely have a name. Oh, cute. You're so cute. See you later. Ay, Dios mío. It's like the universe, like, don't you have something to say? Oh, yeah, I do. I have plenty to say. But I'm trying to figure out should we put in a podcast, a video, or all that because most of the stuff it's being censored and suppressed. So it's really hard to communicate a basic human right. Right? Freedom of speech? Yeah, forget about that, I guess. But fuck it. It's not going to stop me from saying it. So it's coming out now. So here we go. Yeah. We always have animals. Yes. You already ate food. Bye. He's not leaving. He's staying. He or she. Don't know. Just wants food, food, food. It's like, I don't have any more. Okay, so we found a spot. We found it. Okay, so the message is, I love that sound of water. Like, it's just nice. Yeah, this is where I recharge. Okay, greater glory be to God. Thank God. You know, um, just because, um, just because the UN and other people in power who think have power because they rely on threatening and murdering psychopathic behavior trying to be normalized, right? Like genocide is like the worst shit humanity can ever do. And there's multiple ones. Are we okay with that? No, we're not, and they know it. This person defined what I've been trying to say for the past 9 years now in like a few minutes. And I've been saying this for a long time. Like, they have their own sidekicks, their own people that, give up their soul, integrity for money, or mediocre things, or like fame and all that stupid shit. And then there's the methods and cults. Yes, you know who you are, motherfucker. The cults of their, like, now it doesn't seem such a conspiracy theory, does it? The Diddy bullshit, kakalaka. That shit is crazy, right? We should have that same energy for intense war criminals that we already know who they are. Am I right? Am I right? Look at this one. It's like, wow. Deep end. So yeah, it doesn't make it right that because they allow a war criminal and all this stuff morally correct doesn't make it morally correct. Thank you, Spirit. Because that's not our values, right? And morals. I hope not.
How would you spend your time now if I told you that we win in the future? If I tell you I went to the future and we won the long game. Yeah, we might have some heavy battles coming up, but we are going to win the long game. Freedom, truth, justice, love, it all prevails, okay? Everybody who is a president, a head of state, a dictator, a leader of a large multinational company, all of these people who run institutions, countries, etc. They all have psychics. They all have astrologers. Some of them have tarot readers, and they know exactly what is coming, what is upon us now. Pluto in Aquarius. The last time Pluto was in Aquarius, we had both the French and the American Revolution. This is the time for the people to rise up. This is the time for people to take back the power. We can all feel all of this stuff crumbling around us. Now, if you know that we're going to win, which we are, what you're actually seeing around you, because I see so many people running scared right now. People are absolutely terrified, and there's not a reason to be scared, but there's not a reason to be completely just stuck, right? You should not be spending so much time in the news cycle that you make yourself fearful and depressed, okay? Because the news and all of this fear mongering is very intentional. If you are depressed, if you are scared, if you are miserable, if you're considering every worst case scenario, then you might as well be a foot soldier for the other side, okay? Because they can control you if you're scared. Your greatest creative power, your capacity to create the life and the future that we all want, lies in your capacity to keep your vibration raised. It is actually a responsibility. People feel guilty about being happy while terrible things are happening. And I say, please don't do that. You just need to understand the scope of influence that you actually have. What can you do? Are you contributing in a positive way? Are you a writer? Are you writing about important things? Can you donate money to the causes that matter to you? Are you able to volunteer? What are you doing? Like, what can you actually wrap your hands around? Awesome. Do some of that. And when you're not doing that, keep your vibration high. Find yourself in joy. Nurture love. Nurture the relationships of the people with people who you love, who rely on you, and who you rely on. Make sure that you're developing your skills, your talents, your gifts. You were put here to do something important that matters, no matter how small it might seem. You need to do those things. If it's in your heart, get out there and make it happen. Because those of us who are able to live in a joyful and loving vibration, we have to hold that energetic up, because at the end of the day, if you know, you know, this is all a shared illusion that we're all co-creating, and we have all of this negativity and hatred and murder and horrible things because so many of us are actually keeping our heads in those places. We're actively hating, we're actively staying miserable, we're actively, pushing on things that we don't want. You have to think about what you're thinking about. If what is occupying your mind is making you upset, that's what you're drawing into your life. So make sure that you're thinking about things that are positive energetics. And it's not a spiritual bypassing kind of thing. No, it is an energetic lighthouse. There are people in Gaza right now who don't have the capacity, the energy, or the safety to be able to live in joy and freedom. So those of us who can live in joy and freedom have to hold that energetic up. Our planet, this beautiful living being, needs us to hold a higher vibration and to be accountable for the choices that we make around how we interact with the planet, how we interact with each other. All of that really matters. It might seem like maybe it doesn't, like it's just a fun woo-woo choice, but I promise you it's not. Those who are campaigning for misery and hatred and painting a bleak future are controlling you with fear. Don't let them do that. Get your vibration high and be that light beacon, be that beacon of love and joy, because we have already won. What's happening now is they're trying to shore up power because they know that the inevitable is underway. People are trying to shore up power, shore up money, and stack things in their favor the best they can. Meanwhile, it's all going to fall apart, and the people are going to get free. So join me in that aspirational future. Keep your vibe high, and I'll see you on the other side.
How are Diddy and his ongoing scandals connected to the Israel lobby? Sean Diddy Combs, a prominent figure in the music industry, has faced a series of legal challenges, from accusations of abuse to exploitation of vulnerable youth. The multitude of lawsuits against him are not only shockingly detailed, but allude to connections to powerful entertainment industry figures with ties to Zionist causes. One of the key lawsuits was filed by music producer Rodney Lil Rod Jones. He accuses Diddy of assault, participation in an Epstein-style trafficking ring, and threats of physical violence. Jones alleges that Diddy hosted substance substance-fueled parties with trafficked youth, funded by powerful figures like Universal Music Group CEO Lucian Grange. Jones claims these parties were secretly recorded to blackmail high-profile individuals, including music executives and politicians. Lucian Grange is a billionaire Zionist known for supporting Israeli causes. He's been associated with high-profile events, including the Friends of the IDF Gala, which raises funds for the Israeli military. Grange's wife, Caroline Grange, also funds several Zionist organizations. Running in the same circles is Haim Saban, an Israeli-American media proprietor, Democratic Party power player, and mega donor to Zionist causes. Saban Music Group and Universal Music Group have a partnership that includes global distribution and marketing. Another former Universal Music Group figure moonlighting as a Zionist lobbyist is David Renzer. Renzer founded an organization called Creative Community for Peace, which organizes Hollywood celebrities to speak out on behalf of Israel and against the aims of Palestinian activists. Another music industry executive closely associated with P. Diddy, Clive Davis, has partnered with Creative Community for Peace. In 1994, provided funding for the then 23-year-old Diddy's Bad Boy Records. Universal Music Group and Lucian Grange have since been dropped from Rodney Jones's lawsuit against Diddy. They were dismissed from the lawsuit after attorneys for UMG argued that the accusations against the company were offensively false and that they would seek legal penalties against Jones's lawyer Tyrone Blackburn. On October 8, 2023, Diddy posted on social media in support of Israel. That same month, he reportedly signed the No Hostage Left Behind letter thanking President Biden for his quote-unquote leadership regarding Gaza.
Just because we're in the capitalist system doesn't mean we must love it. We were made slaves. It doesn't mean that while you're a slave, you must love slavery. A conscious slave, while picking cotton on the plantation, is thinking about how to escape, how to bring freedom. Therefore, just because we're in capitalism doesn't mean it's a choice. We have to fight for an equal society. That's our history. Our people show that we spill blood instinctively to advance humanity. And we have this responsibility to advance America, yes, to a socialist state. From Africans, our oppressor has changed us to colored, to Negro, to this, to that. We understand it's a step. Coming to black had a powerful point, because the point was that we were oppressed because of this color of our skin, and this was racism. But this fight is not just a fight over the color of our skin. A fight for power is a fight for land. When Mr. Llewellyn speaks about power, he's talking about land. Our land is Africa. America is not our land. It belongs to the American Indians, and we have a right to stand and take a moral struggle with them. And we don't worry about people being for things. People want things is incorrect. The point is not to explain the world. The point is to change it. If the people want material things, then we have a responsibility to tell them that things more important than material things, like freedom.
Imagine being the most hated people in the entire world and watching your enemies climb and climb and climb and be like gods to the world. I feel so sorry for any Israelis. And you can steal whatever you like. You will never be a fraction of a Palestinian. Imagine actually being an Israeli. They went to Palestine. They stole the Palestinian land and they claimed it as their own. They stole the Palestinian houses and they claimed it as their own. They even stole the Palestinian hummus and they claimed it as their own. And now they're trying to steal the kefir and claim it as their own. They steal everything. They try and steal the entire Palestinian culture and sell it off as their own. But do you know one thing they could never, ever steal? And this must be killing them. They can never steal the Palestinian popularity. And the more these Zionists come out of the woodwork and try and put Palestinians down, the more people around the world rise up and absolutely adore them. And every single time a Zionist opens their mouth, oh, people just want to throw up.
Immigration is the #1 problem facing the United States of America. If you've been hypnotized by professional fearmongers whose real job is selling ads, guns, and antidepressants for billionaires and their police state. Meanwhile, back in reality, recent immigrants, whether somebody documented them or did not, significantly boost the economy. They rarely commit crimes compared to native-born. They do not factually take jobs from current citizens, but they do enhance the labor pool and the consumer market, are more likely to start their own businesses and contribute substantial taxes. Also true is less than 3% of the citizens of this country are actually from here. 97% of us are here thanks to violent conquest, colonization, slavery, the ethnic cleansing of the native population, and other massive crimes. which to date have not yet been repaired. So this conversation deserves humility. U.S. politicians, also installed dictators, sanction governments and people all over the world are the cause of ecological catastrophes and crash economies, all for their donors' interests, they call it the national interests, which altogether, you guessed it, drive mass migration. Not only that, these two political parties continue to wage an utterly failed $800 billion war on drugs, creating a black market that arms and funds the most violent cartels, destabilizing whole societies, which drives mass migration. So when people and their children seek refuge, we should at least acknowledge our government's massive role and that granting refuge, granting asylum is international law and biblical law for those who claim some form of Christianity. Meanwhile, in the United States, there is so much work to do. We have work in energy, in farming, in mass transportation. We need housing, and there's ample physical space for more people. Now, investing in population management intelligently, including environmentally and aesthetically friendly city planning, is essential for our collective well-being as a species. And while we're at it, as far as we know, which isn't much clearly, all of our ancestors converge in a place we now call Morocco about 300,000 years ago. And all of us are immigrants from there. And if we traced our lineage, every single one of our families back thousands of generations, we'd find we're all related. One people. This modern idea of nationalism is like a few hundred years old. So we say the United States has 50 states, right? Sure, for 65 years that was true. For 99.9% of human history, there were no states. No country as we know it existed. Before World War I, nobody needed a passport for the most part to move around our planet. In this particular moment of insanity, some Americans are really worried about the cultural integrity of Texas. Okay, what era Texas? Because 188 years ago, Texas was Mexico. That's why it has a Spanish name. And conservative Mexicans were passing laws to stop Anglos from migrating in. They were particularly concerned about slavers coming in because Mexico had outlawed slavery before the United States did. Commies, huh? Anyway, this new political invention called a nation state does serve one purpose. It finances a global weapons economy that works as a partner to the fossil fuel industry, which inspires horrific crimes against humanity, some taking place right this second, based on a delusional idea of separateness. We can celebrate and respect our local and regional identities with appreciation and care for the different cultural gifts that arise from our unique relationships with all the different types of terrains on planet Earth. We can do that at the same time as recognizing each of us also has a global identity as members of one human family. Maybe this is going to sound crazy, but we can also respect the natural right of all human beings to be allowed to travel the entire world as equals. And because humanity's survival is totally dependent on global cooperation, with not only respect, but a sense of obligation, responsibility, and even gratitude for each other.
You've probably asked yourself, how does someone react to genocide? Like this.
We your babies here.
The answer is they've been conditioned to, and it starts in their education system. Here are 3 examples of how Israel teaches the dehumanization of Palestinians. According to this Israeli professor's research, Israeli textbooks show Palestinians, or Arabs as they're called, as caricatures of primitive farmers, hordes of refugees, or they're masked and painted as terrorists.
You cannot find one photograph of a human being who is a Palestinian.
And it might explain how you end up with videos like this.
We need to kill Arabs.
The way they are represented are as the problems and threats. And since they never or hardly ever meet Palestinians face to face or speak to them, although they may live 50 to 100 meters from them, this is what they know.
If you type map of Israel in Hebrew into Google, this is what you'll get. Notice how a lot of these maps have no clear markings showing the occupied West Bank, East Jerusalem, and the Gaza Strip, all of which are internationally recognized as illegally occupied Palestinian territories. You'll also find this map in Israeli textbooks. It's how you end up with illegal settlers colonizing more and more Palestinian land, claiming it's their God-given right.
It's all this, what you see, it's belong to Israel.
And it's how you end up with scenes like this.
You have this necklace?
That's Palestine, yeah.
This is Israel.
Students in Israel are taught about the Holocaust starting in nursery school all the way to the 12th grade. Part of that learning is looking at horrifying images, or exercises that encourage students to put themselves in the shoes of the victims and relate to the experience. The identification of students with the victims isn't a coincidence. It's an intentional policy by the Israeli Ministry of Education. It's how you end up with a society where, according to one Israeli professor, every Jewish Israeli citizen is a Holocaust survivor or a potential victim of future Holocaust-like events.
The goal is traumatization and revenge, and not to let the fire of vengeance die out. However, this vengeance is not directed towards the German persecutors and their collaborators in Europe, but towards Palestinian colonized subjects who are Nazified.
The fact that Palestinians had nothing to do with the Holocaust and that they are the ones currently being exterminated seems to be irrelevant. With this weaponization of the Holocaust, Zionism isn't seen for the settler colonial racist ideology that it is, but as the savior of the Jewish people. And it's this thinking and this fear that is weaponized to justify the violence of the Zionist state. That it must exist and do whatever is necessary to defend itself so that another Holocaust would never happen again. That's how you end up with videos like this.
It is a terrorist organization which murders Jews because they're Jews.
Once the Jewish people were defenseless, no longer.
So why does this matter? Israelis spend 12 years in this education system, teaching them to dehumanize Palestinians and see them as people looking to eliminate Jews, not an oppressed, colonized people looking for freedom. And once they graduate, most Jewish Israelis will go straight to the military to do their 2 to 3 years of mandatory service, where they become the front lines of apartheid and occupation. That's how we end up with videos like this. So why do all this? Well, Israel can only exist as a Jewish state if it manages demographics to maintain a Jewish majority. And it does so by displacing, imprisoning, and murdering Palestinians routinely. And the only way to get Jews to participate in this is by convincing them that it's the only way for them to exist safely. Seeing Palestinians as people who want to live in peace and be free doesn't fit into that plan.
But I miss you in the mornings when I see the sun.
I don't think we're too late. I think we all have capability of redeeming ourselves and stopping negative patterns and shit like that, but I don't know. I think Spirit, Father God wants you guys to know is that like hope is everything. You can't lose that, and that's their point. Like they're trying to create hopelessness and like fears and you know all these ridiculous things. Like, what would you have as a business? Sell weapons and bombs and stuff like I was like, that's your business, really? Like a real business, like mob kind of gangster shit that the government is. Like if you really go deeper onto it and take away all the layers and all the wishy-washy, whatever, that they're trying to sell us, because there's another video that is going to come up later where it talks about that, like, I was from a real attorney, a real lawyer, and for you guys to understand how fucked up it's yeah.
It's getting ugly. It's out of control, and we are witnessing the largest genocidal aggression in our lifetimes. There are a lot of topics to cover today. As you may know, my name is Musa. I'm an attorney, so let's discuss them. First thing that I think is important to discuss is the supply chain. It is obvious now that the global supply chain is vulnerable. It's very clear that any country with enough money that can purchase some sort of nefarious ability to divert shipments will do that. The supply chain is now very dangerous. You have to understand that. And we didn't realize how dangerous it was until it was recently exposed. But think of it this way. Anything you have that has a battery can be an explosive. Anything you have that can receive a radio frequency can be an explosive. And so long as you are anti-Israel, they don't care if you get killed by those explosives. Coupled with the fact that we know how the money gets to Israel to be able to do this. We give them the money, and then they take the money and they do whatever they want. They either give it back to our politicians, or in this case, they use it to terrorize the world. And this is a very low-risk job for them because there is zero accountability for the Israelis throughout the planet. At this point in time, they are able to kill anyone, anywhere with impunity, and if you say that you did it, that you didn't like what they did, you're anti-Semitic. Currently, the former National Security Advisor Leon Panetta has advised that this is probably one of the most dangerous and frightening things to ever happen in our lifetime. This takes every trust and confidence we have in the consumer industry and destroys it. It's shocking that I trust China to make my electronics more than I do anything that has to do with the United States or Israel. Let's move on to the next topic, which is the raid of the Al Jazeera offices in Ramallah. Now, say what you want about Al Jazeera, but the fact is that Israel raided the offices of a news media center while they were live on air with a letter telling them to shut down. Here is the problem, and here is the problem Israel is having. They're spending trillions of dollars to sell you a story that no one is believing. Everyone sees what they are and everything that has been covered up. The Israelis have now been exposed as the worst country on the planet. Like where Kim Jong-un is looking at Netanyahu like, dude, are you okay? Are you mentally okay? You know? And so now it is a total pariah state, but we're all in on it. We have bet on this pariah state since the beginning, and we're pot invested. We can't just pull our cards and say no. So what we have is an area where not only is there a lack of accountability, but there's a major lack of transparency. TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all of those things are exposing what's happening there. A 5-minute Google search, no matter how hard they try to bury it, explains everything that's been happening for God knows how long, and Israel cannot cover that narrative up any longer. No one believes they're natives to the region. No one believes any of that anymore. None of their lies. Frankly, their entire foreign policy is bent on deception. The Mossad's motto is, by deception, we wage war. They don't have any allies. They have enemies that they keep close, like the United States, for example. And if you don't believe me, just take a look at the number of Americans that they've killed all the way up from the 1950s until today. So what they did was they shut down the Al Jazeera offices because they don't want you to know what's going on. All this is going to do is going to make you look harder and see what more barbarity is going on there. It is absolute garbage. And now finally to the massacre in Lebanon, where the genocidal Israeli regime is now moving their offensive to Lebanon after laying waste to Gaza with really no opposition, murdering hundreds in the West Bank and now murdering hundreds more in Lebanon. Lebanese militants right now are apparently afraid of the United States and what they have going to war with regard to the ability to fend off United States assistance as well as attack on Israel. What they're waiting for is General George to tell Netanyahu, you're on your fucking own, man. We will not go to war with you if you're going to expand the war in the region. And it has been said that General George has made that clear to Lloyd Austin, the Secretary of Defense. Lloyd Austin, whether he made that up to the president or not, I don't know. But General George does not believe that the United States should be at war with Lebanon or any of the proxies in the Middle East at this point in time, and is advising against it. But it doesn't really matter what anybody advises. Netanyahu's going to do what he wants, and then we're just going to support him because of how corrupt this country is. The fact is this country is bought and paid for, and a lot of these people have dual loyalties. These are not tropes. These are facts. As a matter of fact, the loyalty goes deeper. The loyalty is to one country over another, and you can see that through many, many years. The USS Liberty, the stealing of the nuclear secrets, the assassination of Americans in Palestine and Americans in Israel, these are all things that go in and factor into the expansion of the definition of terrorism to include Israel, which is a state-sponsored terrorism, rather than just individual tribes or groups. This is an actual state-sponsored. They vote on terrorism. They believe in terrorism. They live a life of terrorism. And they keep a military superiority in the area through the United States and Great Britain. And yet here we are, a year later. They have military superiority. They're fighting people who are wearing flip-flops. They've gotten nowhere. No matter how many tactical victories Israel gets, they've already lost. And they lose every day. I mean, at this point, this country is viewed as an outright pariah. I can't understand how anybody would see this country as anything but a terror nation that is ruled by money and greed. This is the Zionist agenda, and this is very clearly what the Zionist initiative is doing. And there are a lot of anti-Zionist Jewish people out there, and you need to be aware of that. But there are a lot of Christian Zionists as well. All of the Zionists are pushing this on Israel. And this is what's causing everything to happen. It's like people can't wait for the rapture to come fast enough. But for us who live in the real world, what's happening is a very gruesome show of Western force being used by a very reckless, careless government that really does not have any belief or value for humanity and human life. So as you're watching the news today and you see that Israel has struck Hezbollah targets, just know that they're murdering kids somewhere else now. That's really their goal. They want to murder as many Arab babies as possible, and then maybe African, and then maybe more. Who knows? But if you think that you are ultimately safe, yeah, you're not.
This is Lebanon right now. Israel just leveled 6 apartment buildings in Beirut after they've already killed over 700 people in Lebanon just this week. They did this with U.S. money from U.S. soil. Netanyahu initiated this strike from New York City, where he had just hours earlier delivered a speech to the United Nations where he labeled Lebanon the curse and Israel the blessing.
Do you think white people would be having the time of their lives right now if karma manifestation actually existed? They are the demographic with the world's biggest karmic debt. Every single minute of the day, for a white country to function, it relies on suffering to some extent of someone in the global south. They've engineered it to be that way. For example, schools, hospitals, workplaces in white countries need technology to function on the daily. They get the minerals to help that technology from child slaves in Congo. Even if you want to avoid being part of the problem, a white society functions to the point where you can't escape being part of the issue. They are that heavily reliant on the suffering of the global south. And yet many of them live happy, vibrant lives. They're not suffering. Queen Elizabeth died in her 90s. She died of old age. And if anyone's built karmic debt, it is the British royal family. And it's interesting that manifestation only works to give you your job, to get you that new car. But despite every single day people pleading, absolutely pleading for the liberation of places like Congo, Palestine, for black and brown people around the world, the universe never wants to intervene. It never wants to answer those calls. But the universe loves you so much that it decided that you needed that new job more than they needed their freedom. Okay. And it's the same mentality that a lot of religious people have, that they're just that special, that a higher power has chosen them.
Western media will never tell us, but at least the Israeli media will talk about the economic doom that Israel is facing. Food security has become a problem in Israel. About 30% of its agricultural land is right by Lebanon or the Gaza border. This has also caused Israel to have to import 60,000 tons of food. And I'm sure with the Yemeni blockade of the Red Sea, the imported food, if it came from that corridor, has had to have incredible cost to get to Israel. So go Yemen, go Houthis. And because of the genocide, they are short on Palestinian agricultural workers and also Thai workers that have not come back in the same type of numbers. So a lot of food has been left unpicked and crops have been spoiled to the tune of about almost $200 million worth of food. And because of the shortage of workers, like 20 to 30,000 workers a day, there's a food shortage, so prices have ballooned by double digits. Vegetables up 18% and overall food by 12%. People have to eat unhealthy processed foods as a result, and that has put another $56 million of strain on the healthcare system. In the tech sector, which accounts for about 20% of its GDP and 16% of all employment, it's stopped growing. Here the headline says that the tech sector is resilient, but let's see what that really means. So I guess I can say resilient because most of the money that the tech sector got was from investors who just wanted to keep companies that they already funded afloat, as to not lose what they gain because of the ill-conceived genocide that the government was waging on the Palestinian people. But smaller firms, new firms, have gotten almost no funding. But that doesn't mean anything is growing. New startups are unable to develop, so they can't hire new people into the sector. So the income tax base isn't growing, and these mature startups aren't expanding necessarily, they're just maintaining. So it's stagnating, and this sector can't be relied upon to be a growing income tax base that the government can rely on to finance their war. According to Israeli economists, the high-tech sector is drying up because it generally relies on international cooperation and foreign investment, but with cultural and financial boycotts of Israel, people are going to perceive of a social and financial risk premium for doing any kind of business with Israel, and that has the potential to threaten the entire economy because that sector accounts for 1/5 of the country's GDP. So go BDS. And just to prove the point of how legitimate a cultural boycott is against Israel, look at this government worker, this bin person who heads a government agency which funds startups, small startups. He's saying that they are looking for a bounce back after the war because there's going to be a baby boom of new defense tech startups once the war ends. So that is a creepy euphemism for the fact that the war was actually a test ground to field test weapons and technology on Palestinian people. And we know by now, according to the Lancet, that
up to 600,000 people, or maybe even more, will be unalived directly and indirectly because of Israel's evil. And here, government workers are just casually saying to Reuters that their tech sector is going to bounce back because of all the weaponry tested upon Palestinians. So please continue with that boycott so their disgusting tech sector can dry up.
Do you know how dehydrated you have to be to have a constant IV drip running on you? Do you know how dehydrated you have to be? The medical standard of symptoms for this amount of dehydration that P. Diddy is being charged with: not passing urine for 8 hours, seizures, unresponsiveness, lack of conscience, a weak pulse. Could you imagine R-wording someone so hard and for so long that their pulse weakens? I need you guys to understand how sick and demonic the shit that went on in that house really was. And I am seeing jokes about it. For example, there was a video, and now it's viral, and people commenting it, of saying that Justin Bieber's song Baby, he's not saying baby O, he's saying baby oil. Regardless of whether Justin Bieber is a victim or not, because we can speculate videos and pictures and conversations all we want to fit our narrative, we don't know until he says so. We don't know. I think he is, but I can't prove that, and no 2-second video can prove that either. But regardless, do you know how sick that is to start cracking jokes about the baby oil or Justin's songs or whatever you're joking about? You watch an episode of Criminal Minds, right? You see this guy, he grapes and tortures 7, 8 women. And you say, wow, that's fucked up. Like, that's fucked up, right? What a disgusting, sick, twisted man. You're nasty. You're a piece of shit. You're a sociopath. You deserve to rot in prison forever. P. Diddy has been doing this for years. Years. At least 20. At least 20 years. At the minimum. And who knows if he's even the one that started it. We don't know that. Because these elites, they're one. They are one. They are one unit. At the very minimum, these other celebrities know. Because it's been proven in court that random, no one knows him, but he worked here, bouncers at these parties, or even the clubs before the after parties, were forced to sign multiple non-disclosure agreements. Multiple. They had to. Or they were out. You don't think his buddies had to sign any? You don't think they got blackmail on each other? You think a random outsider bouncer who doesn't know one single person personally has to sign 4 NDAs, yet no one at his white parties do or his other parties do? Grow up. I'm not talking about just these raggedy ass men. I'm talking about Beyonce. I'm talking about Taylor Swift. I'm talking about people that know each other. They don't have to assault someone to be involved in obstruction of justice, which is a federal crime. When you know of or have evidence of someone breaking the law and you don't bring it to law attention, that is obstruction of justice, and that is a federal crime. What I'm going to say about that is here's what's going to happen. He's going to list at least 50 to 100 celebrities that knew about this for a plea deal. His time will be shortened because he gave these names. And your favorite celebrities that you idolize for no apparent reason because they sang a song that made you feel something, wow, cool, they're gonna be on it. They are going to be on it. And you guys need to prepare yourselves. You need to prepare to stop feeding this food chain. You think the Kardashians knew absolutely nothing? You think they knew absolutely nothing? They've been in this industry for 40 fucking years. They've been to every top of the food chain party that's ever been fucking hosted. You really don't think they knew anything? Nothing. Nothing. None of these people knew absolutely anything. Let me tell you something. Just because you like them or you love them or you've been to their concert or just because they're a woman does not mean they should not be tried and charged. This is federal law. This crossed state lines. This is a federal case. And this is intense shit. The amount of victims P. Diddy has, I would bet my entire life savings that it is easily in the hundreds, if not thousands, for how many years this shit has been running. He's got a 50-foot fucking bed. Okay? Do you know how many people can fit on that just in one night? And you're talking at the minimum 20 years. So I'm going to repeat myself from what I said earlier. This man is a psychopath. You want to know what a psychopath is? They don't feel remorse. They don't feel empathy. They are calculated. They plan their attacks. A sociopath is random acts of violence, random attacks, can't regulate their emotions. A psychopath has no emotions. And to grape someone and blackmail other people into graping people with you so long and so hard to the point of IV drip dehydration is sick, calculated, and shows no empathy whatsoever. So before you start making jokes and making speculation that, oh, well, Usher sold Justin and this person did this and this person knew that and this person, we won't know until court. We won't know. But to the victims of these parties, or even just these weekends or Tuesdays, because it's not just subjected to parties, right? We don't know. How about we just pray for the victims that they finally get justice and wait to see what happens? How about we just do that? This is a serious fucking crime. He will never get out of prison. Ever. Whether that's because they don't let him out or because he's not going to get out. And I need you guys to understand how serious this is. This is not the time to be dissecting every single song Justin Bieber has ever written to make it fit what he went through that we don't even know about at P. Diddy's parties. This is not the time to do that. Have some fucking class, show some fucking respect, and show some fucking empathy. Because if you're gonna churn shit like butter to fit your narrative of what happened at a party you were not at, based on one sentence of one lyric of one song, you lack the empathy that P. Diddy lacked. In the same manner, to crack jokes, these victims were tortured. Tortured. Men, women, children, who knows? They were tortured. Tortured. So if you're going, again, to make jokes, you belong in there with him. You belong inside with him. Enough. Enough.
Salam, everyone.
In a couple of days, it will be a year of this genocide.
I don't know how. Nobody can press the off button. I need blue people. We need to come together on October 1st.
On October 1st is a global strike. The whole world needs to participate in order for this to work.
We need to tell our leaders we are not on their side. Don't go to work or school.
Don't buy anything at all that day. We need to hit them where it hurts, in their pockets.
Our leaders are supporting genocide, and now look what's happening in Lebanon.
Don't get too comfortable. This is going to escalate. And pretty soon it will be at your door.
Let's stop this before it gets worse.
So promise us
and make your pledge
to participate on October 1st.
Palestine and Lebanon are counting on us.
So please keep talking about Palestine. On forever peace in Palestine.
What's so fascinating to me about Israel's mythology is this necessity of making Jews feel alone, of constantly saying everybody hates you, everybody is anti-Semitic, no one's going to have your back, when as soon as I stepped away from Zionism, like the moment I started thinking more critically about Zionism and Israel as a colonial project and the ethno-nationalism inherent in this politic, I gained community. I am not alone. The number of Christian and Muslim and other Jewish people and folks of all faiths who now have my back is unparalleled from any other point in my life. I have never had a stronger community than I do now. I have never known more people from more backgrounds willing to ride or die for me than I do now. The cure, the antidote to my isolation was rejecting a political philosophy that would have had me terrified of everyone else and internalizing my own imagined supremacy. No. As soon as you step backward from Zionism, as soon as you embody your Judaism more authentically, you gain community. People will love you more. You will find groundedness and safety with other folks that you never had as a Zionist.
Just a note that if you support Israel, you suck as a human being. Hope that makes it very simple for you.
Why don't you just let Arab people talk about the conflict in the Middle East? Because you're racist. You cannot so easily classify me as some sort of Islamic jihad fundamentalist like you can with these other racist stereotypes that people put out. Fortunately, I lack the skin tone to be classified as a terrorist. No matter what I do, I'll pretty much be a misunderstood white man. Maybe a tough upbringing and a lot of mental issues. Meanwhile, every time I see a brown person calling for the simplest thing of peace, they get classified as a terrorist. Calling for something as simple as free Palestine from a violent occupation somehow correlates to their bringing Sharia law to America. The Muslim Brotherhood is somehow taking democracy away from the US. So when people say to me, why don't you amplify brown voices, people that are there experiencing it? That's quite literally what I'm trying to do. And the reason that people don't recognize that is because they don't listen to those brown voices. You see somebody who looks like me and you're like, why are they interested in an Arab conflict? Because it's not a conflict. It's an ethnic cleansing, and I will not be on the wrong side of history.
جناح لك يا حسن هلا ضربوا ورا مستشفى الزهراء
كيف عالضاحية الله أكبر.
That was an airstrike ordered by Netanyahu all the way from New York after his UN speech. That was a speech where the majority of the UN delegates walked out on him, and also the speech where he referred to Israel as well as the other US vassal states as the blessing of peace in the Middle East, and referred to the resistance as the curse, calling them the axis of evil. This was the result of that airstrike that flattened 6 apartment complexes using 2,000-pound American bomb. Not only that, 2 Boeing E-3B Sentries gave the intel for that airstrike. That means the US empire was complicit and directly involved in this. Of course, once again, Israel is using the excuse of that being a targeted strike against terrorists, when in reality, they're just carpet bombing civilians.
I'm thinking of Lebanon and Lebanese people right now. I was trying to sleep for 2 hours now, and I actually wasn't able to sleep at all. I'm thinking of them and thinking of what's happening there right now as if I'm living there right now. It's truly depressing, and it's truly triggering for somebody from Gaza to see this happening to them. This amount of savage, barbarian attacks reminds me of the first week of the exact same thing. And I genuinely feel like crying thinking of that, feel like throwing up, feel like my head is gonna explode and I just want to disappear, or I want to just die, you know. But listen to me, Lebanese people. As bad as this is truly their end. This is truly the beginning of their end. We have been suffering for years. The whole Middle East have been suffering for years, but this is the time where all of this ends. hold on, hold on. We are sorry and we are thankful that you are supporting us. I'm seeing videos of Lebanese people saying, look at this. They're doing this to us because we're supporting Gaza. But guess what? We're not leaving our homes and we're not leaving Gaza. I wish the whole world was thinking the same way. I wish we all were truly united. Maybe don't pray for Palestine or Lebanon or Yemen or Iraq or Syria or Sudan or anywhere. Maybe it's time to pray on Israel. Maybe it's time to pray on them, on the reason why we're all suffering.
Was the President of the United States threatened into recognizing the State of Israel in 1948? This is definitely a story they're not going to teach you in history class. So Israel declared its independence back in 1948, and the President of the United States at the time was Harry S. Truman. Now it says here, as president, Truman initially opposed the creation of a Jewish state. Instead, he tried to promote an Arab-Jewish federation or binational state. And in letters dating back to 1947, remember that year, Truman urged Zionists to show restraint and consideration for the other people in Palestine. But for some reason, he finally gave up in 1947 and endorsed the partition of Palestine into separate states, but he continued to express regret in private that he had not achieved his original objective, which he blamed most often on quote-unquote unwarranted interference. Unwarranted interference. Now, what could that mean? Well, for that, let's reference this 1972 New York Times article that reported that letter bombs were mailed to Truman in 1947. Quote, the so-called Stern gang of Zionist terrorists tried to assassinate President Truman by letter bomb in 1947, according to a biography written by Mr. Truman's daughter. Mrs. Margaret Truman Daniel writes that a number of cream-colored envelopes about 8 by 6 inches arrived in the White House addressed to the president and various members of the staff. They were found to contain powdered gelignite, a pencil, battery, and a detonator rigged to explode the gelignite when the envelope was opened. But luckily, the White House mailroom, alert to the danger of postal bombs, discovered the letters and had them defused by the Secret Service bomb experts. Whoa, good thing the Secret Service were still, sort of doing their job back in the days, or else that would have turned out completely differently. But clearly, President Truman got the message, because in the following year, President Truman recognized the State of Israel as an independent state on May 14, 1948, making the United States the first country to do so. And not only that, Truman's decision came just 11 minutes after Israel's proclamation of independence.
That man you just saw is Meir Kahane, a Jewish supremacist rabbi. Kahane died decades ago, but his racist ideology can be found today among his supporters. They are known as Kahanists.
Rabbi Kahane was like David Melech.
So, who is Meir Kahane and what were his beliefs?
First of all, there are no Palestine Arabs. There is no Palestine. There are no Palestinian Arabs. These are Arabs.
Kahane, who was born in New York in 1932, was an Orthodox rabbi. As a child, his Brooklyn family home welcomed visitors like Menachem Begin. Begin, who would later become Israel's 6th prime minister with the Likud party, was the leader of the Zionist terrorist organization Irgun. Kahane's father helped smuggle weapons to Irgun and was also close to Vladimir Jabotinsky. Jabotinsky was the founder of the revisionist movement, which advocates for a territorial maximalism of a Jewish state. As for the young Kahane, he ended up joining Batar, the paramilitary youth wing of the revisionist movement, though he never visited Palestine. In 1968, when Kahane was in his 30s, he founded and headed the Jewish Defense League in New York. The JDL branded itself as a so-called self-defense movement against anti-Semitism, but it rapidly turned into a terror group, carrying out brutal beatings, deadly shootings, and bombings. The JDL terrorized and harassed foreign diplomats, Arabs, Muslims, and even members of the Jewish community, such as scholars, community leaders, and officials
in the US. So how did the US-born Kahana end up in Israel? In 1971, Kahana's JDO activities found him standing in a courtroom in Brooklyn where a judge handed down a 5-year suspended sentence and probation for conspiring to make a bomb. 2 months later, he moved to Israel with his family. That's where Kahana created his own political party, Kach, meaning this is the way in Hebrew. Kach had little success in elections in the 1970s and 1980, but in 1984, Kahana managed to win a Knesset seat. Kahana advocated for the expulsion of all Palestinians from Israel, the occupied West Bank, and Gaza.
There are 22 Arab countries, God bless them all. Let the Arabs who live inside Israel live with their brothers and their sisters.
He proposed segregation between Jews and Arabs and restricting democratic rights to Jews only. Kahana's extremism was not well received by MKs who often walked out of the Knesset when he spoke. In 1985, a law was passed banning parties that overtly incite racism, subsequently barring Kahana's Kach party from running in elections. On November 5, 1990, a gunman assassinated Kahana in New York City. Kahana died, but the dangers of his doctrines lived on. On a February day in 1994, during the holy Islamic month of Ramadan, worshippers gathered to pray in the Ibrahimi Mosque in Hebron. A terrorist walked in and massacred 29 of them. That terrorist was Baruch Goldstein, a Kahana follower and Kach member. It was only then that Israel outlawed the Kach party. The following year, 1995, the Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin, who oversaw the Oslo Accords, was assassinated by an extremist called Yigal Amir, who was associated with an offshoot of Kach called Eyal. Kahanists who were seemingly rejected by Israel's mainstream political scene in the 1980s run rampant today. The poster boy is no other than Itamar Ben-Gvir, leader of the Otzma Yehudit party. For many, PM Benjamin Netanyahu legitimized Kahanism when he appointed him National Security Minister. Ben-Gvir is a former member of Kach. His home once had a photo of the murderer Goldstein. In 2007, an Israeli court convicted Ben-Gvir of supporting Kach and inciting racism. Ben-Gvir has at times attempted to distance himself from Kahanism. I am not Rabbi Kahana and don't support expulsion of all the Arabs and will not pass laws for separate beaches for Arabs and Jews. But his simultaneous reverence of Kahana puts this in question. Ultimately, Rabbi Kahana was about love for Israel without compromise, without any other consideration. Ben-Gvir, like his idol Kahana, has called for occupying more Palestinian lands, including the expansion of illegal Israeli settlements. He regularly makes provocative visits to Al-Aqsa compound, a flashpoint site. Palestinian prisoners, according to him, should be killed with a shot to the head. Since October 7, he has ramped up his provocations, like a campaign to arm Israelis, including illegal settlers in the occupied West Bank. The effects of the Kahanist movement reverberate well beyond Ben-Gvir, however. Meir Ettinger, Kahana's grandson, leads Hilltop Youth, a gang of violent settlers in the occupied West Bank notorious for committing violence against Palestinians, from intimidation to arson to murder. Then there is Bentzi Gopstein, a disciple of Kahana, who leads the anti-Arab, anti-Christian Lahava group. The Supreme Court banned Gopstein from elections in 2019 for his racist rhetoric, but that hasn't stopped Lahava's growing influence in Israel. In 2024, the US described it as the largest violent extremist organization in Israel, with chapters in every city and more than 10,000 registered members. Today, Israel is headed by the most far-right government since its inception, with a Kahanist in a top ministerial position. It begs the question, is Kahanism's influence in Israeli politics more powerful than thought?
The resistance is not just one person. Just making that clear. We all have a role to do. We all have a place to do in our daily life and in our activism, or I don't even want to call it activism, because it's just like you have to, it's like your humanity. It's like, what if it was you? Like, just think about it. Like, if it was you on the other side where those people are, who you basically connect, because a lot of you just don't want to connect and they're vulnerable and like actually speak with people. They are literally trying to survive a genocide. What the fuck? Okay, are we gonna continue the illusion? Because that is really sad. Also, is that what you want to leave behind? I'm not talking to people who don't have kids. Like, I mean, if you're planning to have kids, fuck, like, shit. Really? We have like a cancer, leech, psychopathic fucking mob, cult, people, not religious at all. They don't give a fuck. They're not connected. These are like descendants that colonize us, and like all kinds of like unhealed, right? And all of them have these ideology, races and white supremacists, and like, and a lot of y'all, what you're decolonizing, because that's what I'm here for, to help you guys, guide you, okay? Because the healing is really, really deep and eternal kind of thing, because there's so much trauma, so much grief, so much have been taken from, and the thing is, it's coming back. They know it. They're trying to block it. That's the message as well. They're trying to block the justice, the repercussions, and the way that they're doing is really dirty and slimy. Like, they have a lot of dirty secrets from people that could be potentially talk about this, like a ceasefire now and shit like that, but because they have something to lose, because these people, whoever they are, you know who you are, motherfuckers, motherfucking crazy scientists and stuff like that, who own a lot of businesses and things, or have connections where they can have people like do fucked up shit and like record them and have them as leverage, right? So yeah, it's that fucked up. But then why would you do those things in the first place, right? Why would you commit crimes? Why would you abuse? Why would you do fucked up shit to children? I don't understand the obsession with murdering, butchering children and women. Like, the hatred it's real, and that's really sad, you know. And a lot of you, this is to validate confirmation, like, you're not alone, okay? Remember to recharge, hydrate. Maybe that's why I needed to say this message in the water. I've been trying to see how to say this, because I have my own stuff that I'm working on and doing. Yes, oh my god, confirmation. What can I do for you? Yes, he literally was left and now he came back. I think it's a he or she. Maybe it's a she. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Yes. Take your time to regroup. And I know is you have like the trauma, you're carrying all that stuff as well. But we also have to continue moving, okay? Take a rest, take a couple minutes, and then go back into it. They are depending over exhaustion and kind of like hopeless and give up and kind of thing, and that's not it. That's really not it. So yeah, continue dismantling. It's not as easy path as people like to believe. Like, healing, going through doing the colonization requires a lot of grieving, a lot of rage, a lot of mourning, and also like controlling not to be like the colonizers. Like, there's a lot of things, like, and it could be narcissistic, you know, who knows, but there's a certain aspect that you need to like work on and let it go, right? And do things differently, work differently, consciously, more mindful things, not just about me, individualistic mentality. I feel like the individualistic mentality does depend on capitalism as well. Probably does. I just need to do more research about it, which is that's all I do. But also being bear witness, right? And some days is really like, every day is really horrendous, but we make sure, most of us, to send to ICC and ICJ and continue doing. Okay. The point is that even the criminal justice and all of them, like, they are being threatened, like their families and stuff. Like, these people are psychopaths, yo. Like, what the fuck? And it's like, yeah, that's our, like, the whole, like, having an amusement, like a tour that takes them to see the fucking genocide, and they get to pick where they want to, like, build their land and colonize, where they murder and displace thousands of people and murder like almost 60,000. And that the thing is, there's more. You know, the fucked up shit that these people are doing also. And you know, it's crazy, they taught us that, and also in university in environmental science, where to tweak certain data to accommodate to certain clients. And I never was okay with that, because that's a, I don't know, for me morally, I guess it's like a broke code, or like a, I don't know, it's just weird. So I don't know, it's a weird energy. Ooh, look at that, it's like a whole tribe, a whole family. What's up? Safe travels. Now what they're doing, yes, the important confirmation. Now what they're doing is they're taking the data, the death toll, and reducing it so people don't know how much actually people they are murdering. Like, they have murder already. And the other part, the other message of this is going to be like, well, your ancestors are with you, angels protecting those in the community. Like, just continue what you're doing, even if it makes people uncomfortable. You're supposed to. Just like you're uncomfortable and like you feel like it's fake kind of thing, where you have to kind of be like, and that's how it's gonna be, because you have mouth to feed and like you have bills to pay, and like that's understandable. But do not let go of the reality of, you know, how capitalism can benefit from whatever it is that you're doing. Like, that is the colonization, like intensely is divesting and boycotting, like anything that doesn't, like, you know. And the thing is, you start noticing that boycotting and divesting and reducing a lot of shit, and like being mindful and conscious of what you buy, what you do, how you buy things, where you buy it, it matters. Okay, so this is how it's all about follow the money, right? The trails. It's something about trails, about flow as well, or growth. It could be growth or amount of abundance, but I feel like it's something that is going to be equally to everyone. Repercussions. Yeah. It is their end. Confirm it all you want. 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. I've been seeing 10 all yesterday at work, all day. 10 is end of cycles. It's completion. Stability, family. Take it how it resonates, but yeah. It is important to understand that you know what's morally right and wrong, and that should not change because other people's opinion, or because it benefits you, or because it gives you more money. That's the trap. So be careful with that, because you will actually end up doing something that you will regret for the rest of your life. And that's a heavy burden and guilt and heavy karma as well. Because something that God is really good at, because he is karma, he will never let you forget where you fucked up. And it will do it multiple times, where you will see that. And maybe make it a little worse. So yeah. People say that God has his intentions of rage, but these are sacred, holy stuff. And this is where resistance comes in, because you cannot defeat demonic entities like that with the whole like, oh, well, I'm just gonna keep on taking it and on quietly and defend myself somehow, somewhere, even though I've been punched, gaslight, bully, and all this weird ass shit, like violence, right? Like, and that's not good. Like, a lot of people need to control their rage, their hatred, their jealousy. It shows. Their green monster is showing. Absolutely. No matter what they do, we're gonna continue loving Palestine, Congo, and Sudan. No matter, it doesn't matter. The narrative has changed. It has shifted. The one thing that they pay trillions, that they lost trillions of dollars, like the narrative, right? The same vocal and say the same thing repetitive, like to kind of like as if we don't have minds of our own, that we're just gonna eat that shit up. And some people do. Some people do. But that's their downfall. That's where they're going, right? That's the people call it a rabbit hole. I think the rabbit hole is where people are gonna go. Like, what? That's one of the parts. But anyways, I'm just a guy, a message, and this is a message that you keep pushing me to say, to talk about. I'm honestly just want to guide people, but I'm also trying to guide and find my own way as well. But at the same time, it's like a constant grieving morning, like crying and like, okay, I have to write this, I have to send this. And watching those things, like evidence, like real evidence, loco, like guys, like, let's be serious here, okay? Like, everyone has access to this as well. Telegram is all there, okay? Like, enough with lying to ourselves. Like, it's really sad.
Just 4 hours ago, Al Jazeera's investigative unit released a feature-length film available on YouTube exposing Israeli war crimes, specifically in the Gaza Strip. And the film does this, it says, through the medium of photos and videos that have been posted online by Israeli soldiers in the last 1 year. And I assume, obviously, this is because there's been so much restriction by Israel on media coverage and journalists coming in, trying to hide so that it can't be seen, it can't be reported on. But soldiers themselves have been posting photos and videos of their own war crimes. They say the material reveals a range of illegal activities, from wanton destruction and looting to the demolition of entire neighborhoods and murder. They say in social media posts, soldiers frequently make little pretense there is military logic behind their actions. An example they give, we, Company C Commando Engineering Corps, decimated a whole village as revenge for what was done to Kibbutz XYZ on XYZ date. It also tells the story of the war through the eyes of Palestinian journalists, human rights workers, and ordinary residents of the Gaza Strip. It exposes the complicity of Western governments, in particular the use of Royal Air Force Base for British in Cyprus for British surveillance flights over Gaza. And it goes on, but this for me is the key. This is why having a film like this is so important. This Palestinian writer, Susan Abul Hawa, says, nobody can say they didn't know. And then she goes on to say, if people are ignorant, they are willfully ignorant. It is incredible, unbelievable, really, to have all of these photos and videos of and by these soldiers, and for Al Jazeera to have gone and investigated, collected all of these things. They're collecting evidence. You know, in the past, war crimes were committed far away on the other side of the world, and people would never know about them or see them, or maybe you would hear about them in written newspapers, and then eventually there was TV. Then some of these horrific things became televised and a little bit more visible. The more that people know, the harder it is to get away with this. And also for allies in the West that continue to arm Israel, that continue to give it the political support that they need. This is just one more brick in that wall of evidence. You cannot say that you didn't know. You cannot plead ignorance.
And pathetic and honestly disgusting, right? Because we shouldn't have this mentality. And also, it is wrong to have any racial bias or any racial, like this is, I feel like racism should be illegal. Like, no question, because it does create people to, and it shows time and time and again with multiple examples that people who feel entitled with some certain privileges or certain power or dynamics, wherever, education, hospitals, medicine, political stuff, or I mean, everything is political. Like, that's our survival. Like, a lot of y'all, like, you need to understand history. You need to go back. You need to read. Fuck, like, come on, get it together. Get it together. Like, we have work to do, and they know it. They know that as soon as you guys let the stagnation and the complicity and the ignorance, white supremacy fucking tactics, the fucking culty shit, those who are in cults and fucking doing blah blah blah, you know what you're doing, right? You are sick fucks. You're sick fucks. And that's nothing to be proud of. Like, a lot of y'all, you boast about it, like you feel good about it. That's fucked up, man. You need help. Like, when I read those energy, I'm like, does people exist like this? Like, there's no way. This sounds like a cartoon, like a movie or something. No, it's fucking real. Like, energy does not fucking lie. People do. God always says that to me. All the time. When I get lost a little and get too much in my head. Like, nah, energy doesn't lie. Just read it. It's not that hard. Me is a gift that I, and now I have to alchemize and compromise, because there's a lot of energy that is really dark. It's really fucked up. Like, I'm just like, how do people live with this? Like, knowing, like, how, like, it's so hard even for me. Like, I'm just like, yeah, like, I don't know. It's crazy. And then there are certain places now that you don't feel safe, and it's like, fuck. I guess what I'm trying to say is that also they're trying to idolize this terrorism as a form of, like, entertainment, or I don't know, it's just they're psychopaths, right? So murders and with money and power and control over people, and they're racist, and they're fucking pedo fucking weird, yeah, like weird, like P. Diddy. I'm sure there's more. Like, there's a lot of, hang on, like, a lot of celebrities, they're not. Oh no. Like, wow. Like, believe it. Like, when they show you the truth, believe it. A lot of you, you're like, no, it's fine, making excuses and shit. Like, okay, I don't know. I think that believing what people show you, believe it. Like, for real, believe it. Like, believe what people show you. Like I don't. And, like, videos and everything, evidence, like, nonstop, like, is really sad. Like, this is something that a lot of us are gonna write, and that's another thing, is like, they know that we are the voice, the guide, to help you guys understand that how important the colonization is, because you don't want to leave this behind. And also, they're fucking up with the planet. Look at all the hurricanes and shit like that. Like, look what happened. And that's nothing. That's just the beginning. Like, Gaia is, like, speaking, like, you're messing with my children. That area. Those areas in the States, huh? She's speaking. Are we listening? I wonder and hope that we do. Because there's a lot of victims. Like, I was looking into it. I went into that rabbit hole, like some people say. Whatever. And it was pretty scary. Not pretty, scary. Scary as fuck. Like, it was weird. And then I was like, yeah, that's the fear. To create fear in your mind that, oh, this is what, it's just like, okay, what will happen? Okay, I'll come back and do it. Like, like, this is so weird. Motherfuckers. Guys, we have to unite and strategize and work together. I'm so done of, and that's the point, right? They want you to be done with it. They want you to like, okay, so what are the other alternatives when the supposedly good guys that defend against genocide turn bad guys? And they're trying to brainwash and gaslight and literally try to kill and hurt people when we are against genocide and killing and butchering children and women and men and disabled people and like, and basically this is what racism, Islamophobia, homophobic, all kinds of bigotry, misogyny, and white supremacy altogether, and then comes by with like little bit of soup of capitalism, right? A whole fucking soup of fucking bullshit that we have to kind of like, okay, well, we have to conform because yeah, they're threatening our family, they're doing all this weird ass shit. Like, that's how low you have to go, you fucking coward. Fuck. Yeah. And there's people like trying to disrupt your harmony, your abundance, anything that they feel that they're supposed to have it. Like for a lot of you don't have any competitions anymore, right? Like you don't feel like it. For a lot of you do, but you don't give a fuck. You're like, okay, haters are gonna hate or whatever. They're probably not haters. They're probably they love you just like you love them. It's fine. But the point is like there's always gonna be lurking and energies trying to, have what you have, which is fucking weird. Like this is what the Palestinians are dealing with fucking Zionists. Like for real. Because anti-Jew, no. They are anti-Jews. Thank you, Spirit. But confirmation. Do you hear that? A dog. What was I gonna say? Thank you, Spirit. Anti-Zionist Jews, okay, they are very loyal. They are the frontline people, especially with Palestine, helping Palestine, and also talking about other causes, okay? You have to understand that Zionism was created as an ideology, right? A really disgusting, psychotic, okay? Let's go deeper. It's murderous. Like their primary culture, it's militarism. Like everybody has, all of them have been to the military. Like that's their culture, right? Murder, genocide, weapons and stuff like that. And their primary source of income, most of it, is selling weapons and soldiers and weird ass IOS that they're fucking psychotic. Most of them are, rapists, right? Pedophile. Yeah, that's fucked up, right? Yeah. So this is what we're trying to say, that we all have to be against that shit because you don't want those. And the thing is, the sad part is, like, some of the times I'm in the metro or in certain places and stuff like that, I already feel their energy. They are here. Some of them come back after that, and they are loud here. Like, that's disgusting. And a lot of it, you feel safe. I don't. Every time that energy, it's felt. A lot of us who being eyewitness and have seen what we've seen, and I can't say that much because I'm not the one recording the video and experiencing all of that. I'm just the person that pushes this out so that they can be heard because they are speaking. They're not voiceless. They're being voiceless. They're being trying to voice them out. Did you see community? I love that. Community, unity, they know this. This is why they go against it. This is why we have to be careful. Very careful. Just unite with together. That's the thing. This movement is so big. It's like humongous. The more they're trying to like criticize or they're trying to lie or misinform fake propaganda of Palestine, it doesn't work. The more we love them, it doesn't work. Their lies doesn't work. The truth always comes out. Inshallah, that's God. Always. He's trying to tell you these people are intense, and there is precautions already. There's a lot of shit that's going to happen. That's a message. Everything is going to be taken care of. May we rest in power, those martyrs, those children and women. They didn't deserve to die. None of them. For what? For fake blood money? For a status? For a job you hate? For a lot of reasons. Just lack of empathy, lack of love, misery. That's what I think about. These people are so sad, and not that I want you guys to feel sympathy, but it's just for these. But it's just, yeah. I think that's most Arab people. This is how they feel about them. They feel sorry for them. Feel sorry, because you must be so fucking rotten in your fucking core to do what you fucking do. To hurt a child, to hurt people, innocent people. Like, you must be some fucked up motherfucker. Yeah, they feel sorry for y'all. This is what I'm telling you. The colonized fuck. Like, for real. Like, this is no joke. We have work to do. Like, these motherfuckers, they gotta be out. I'm serious. Like, I'm done with this motherfucking shit. Like, we need to get, like, I don't know. Just got something to do. Yeah. Like, that's another thing that's going to cause regional war. The whole killing this Hezbollah leader, which, wow, he's really good. They will never have that. Heaven, the experience of the afterlife. Zionists will never have that. That's their curse. They know that. They just don't like people to voice it. They don't like people telling them the truth in their face. Well, yeah, you better listen. There is the capability of changing, decolonizing. I'm not longer trying to change people. That's not my job anymore. I'm just guiding. Just implies. You will never experience that. And you will always have issues in this planet. This is why most of y'all rely on trying to hurt others, right? Trying to oppress and manipulate, control, kill, even if they don't do what you want. Is narcissism, sadists, like a bunch of fucking entitled narcissists, sadists, and some of you are in the psychopath meter, way past that. You got a lot of blood in your hands, right? A lot of brown children, right? Indigenous as well. Your parents, grandparents. After that, right? Sharing the legacy. What a fucking loser. A legacy of what? Of how cowardly and disgusting you have to be in order to feel better about yourself. What a sad individual. Whatever comes to you is rightly so. It's already, and you deserve it. Okay? That's it. I hope God has mercy on your souls, but you deserve what you're gonna get. All of y'all. Everybody who silenced, everybody who didn't do anything, everybody who just watched, everybody who just, yeah. Everyone. No question. Nope. No. God doesn't keep anything. He keeps records of everything. He's really good at that. He created us. He knows how to keep records. He's an archive. Don't try to box God. Can't box him. He's everywhere and anything. He's omnipresent. He can be anything, anywhere. He doesn't have a vessel that keeps him stuck, or he just is. It's just what it is. I am what I am, right? Or he is what he is. Be mindful of your thoughts during this time as well. They are manifesting, trying to, not only they steal from your taxes and stuff like that. Like, these people are fucked up. Like, this is how they're trying to maintain their wealth, riches is by harnessing energy, doing all this fucked up shit to children, and children that, like, the system just forgets about them. It's fucking weird. So it's like this system kind of like helps on this thing, so they also can maintain well. But it's like, I don't understand. So always keeping people really stuck in fear and dealing with stuff, like, it's so weird. So a lot of hateful and jealous people. Okay, so this is why, like, you can't control what people do, right? But you can control what you do. Always have jasper, the crystal. I don't care what you Christian people think. I don't give a fuck. Jasper is the fucking number one enemy of the colonizers. They know this crystal. People in, you know who you are, motherfucker. You know that we know. Jasper is important. It can help you see through the lies, the truth through the lies. And it's a lot of lies trying to cover the truth, right? So jasper always is just really good crystal. It gives, it heightens the intuition with that, but also it nurtures it and also gives you that confidence also to, like, really see through, because sometimes the truth is too hard to see. It's really hard. Okay, yeah. It's violent, it's really fucked up, it's a bunch of testimonies, it's videos, it's mutilated bodies, very decomposed, yeah, so beheaded babies, all that stuff that they started on October 7th, which is fucking crazy that it's coming up. It is what they did that entire year, basically. So they were confessing. Yo, these people are fucked up. But that's it. You guys know. Everybody knows. That's it. Just welcome to waking up, and now let's do something about it. Shall we? Yeah. I hope these videos help you. Please like, comment, and share. Thank you. You're lovable. That's the other message. You are lovable. That's nice. Nobody told you that. You are lovable. And do not let the oppressors, all these dark energy, to no. You need to get all that power, that energy back, especially when you feel like mostly drained for a lot of things and you didn't do much, accomplish much. That's the energy harvesting that they do. I don't really care how they do it. All I know is that when it does, just pray against it. Educate yourself about it. Where do you feel the symptoms? Where does it hurt? For a lot of people right now is the stomach, right? There's a lot of stomach issues, and that too. A lot of people are watching with hunger and starving, trying to also help you guys create more reach, right? To be the algorithm, right? So be mindful, a lot of you, of showing videos like eating and stuff, because I don't know. I guess for some people it's like, oh well, if they're not eating, like, they can watch somebody eat and they can imagine that they're eating. It's like, oh, that's still fucked up. I don't know. I just don't do it. I don't know. That's for me, is like to give the respect to other people, knowing that your audience, your people, your community are kind of those people that, and yeah, just be mindful of that. Continue talking about the Congo and the Sudan, okay?
So I just found out this morning that a boat in
I'm honestly at a place where it's like, I don't know what more Congolese people can do, what more we can say in order to drive home the issue, because we are talking, we are speaking out. But if people are not listening, then what more is it that we can do? How more can we appeal and show people that we're human, show people that we're vulnerable and that we're worthy of safety and protection as well. I don't know what more can be done to do that. I have an urgent appeal to make to the creator of the video that I just stitched, and also to anybody who was captivated or moved in any way by the information that he shared in the video about the hundreds of Congolese people being capsized. The reality of what he's talking about is the fact that there's so much much information about what is happening in Congo, especially in the eastern part of Congo, that isn't getting out on mainstream media. CNN is not going to report about it. Al Jazeera most likely won't report about it. The very intimate details of what's happening on the day-to-day in terms of casualties, attacks by M23 and other rebel groups in the area who have the goal of committing genocide in Congo, it's not going to reach your news. You're going to get that information straight from individuals who are on the ground working in the camps, or who have connection to people who are in the displacement camps and in the towns that are being terrorized. And so one urgent appeal that I have to make to all of you is for my dear friend, Emmanuel, who is the founder of the Peace African Hope organization, which is a refugee shelter that provides support to refugees who are in the town Buganda, which is on the border of Uganda. Since about last week Saturday, they have been under attack by the Rwandan military. And this is something that actually happened while we were in Alive. If anybody who's familiar and has been attending our Eyes on Congo series, then you are aware of Emmanuel and the wealth of information and knowledge that he has in giving people information about what's happening on the ground and what is the truth and reality of the situation in Eastern Congo. And so during that live, his town was under attack by the Rwandan military, and he actually had to leave the live. And in that moment, within an hour, 13 people were killed. A young boy, I believe aged 10 or 11, was shot in the shoulder, and he became an orphan because his parents were killed. In under an hour, 13 lives were lost. You saw no information about it. It didn't make any headlines. People haven't been discussing it. And people don't really care about Congo because they don't know the degree to which Congolese people are actually experiencing active occupation by the Rwandan government, by the Rwandan military. And nearly a week later, the attacks have continued. So the town that Emmanuel is in is still being attacked by the Rwandan military, and their goal is to occupy the land. Their goal is to displace people in order to move into the towns, to take over the areas that are rich in mineral resources, that have vast land, fertile land. And so my appeal to you all at this very moment, I can't intellectualize this anymore. There's no more, like there are no words that I can think of right now that can press how scary of a situation it was to be speaking to somebody and to know that in a split second, like, they could lose their life, or that they were fighting for their life, that they were barricaded in their homes, just hoping that whatever and whoever the military, the Rwandan military was shooting at wouldn't get them. And so they were just shooting indiscriminately in the town at anybody and everybody. And it's and the catalyst of it all were 3 individuals who were initially killed because they were sneaking in food into. So the area where Emmanuel is and where the Peace African Hope shelter is still not safe. They were able to raise enough money through their GoFundMe to buy land in Uganda, and that's their ultimate goal, is to be able to move and to be able to live on the land that they bought, to be able to farm and to have a self-sufficient life there in terms of their farming. And so they really need the support in order to do that. And we get a lot of our reports or our knowledge of what's happening by UN reports or like Al Jazeera reports or documentaries that are coming to us like 2 years, post-reporting, 2 years post-shooting, right? And so we're seeing this static image of what's happening in Eastern Congo, and we don't think that it's an ongoing issue. We don't think that right now, currently, people are being killed, women are being raped, children are being killed, children are becoming orphans in a split second because of an active military occupation, because of
terrorist activity on the eastern border of Congo. And so we don't talk enough in details about the reality of the situation. The voices of the people who are there and on the ground are not uplifted. They're not sought out. And so I appreciate this creator for highlighting that. And I hope people can continue to seek out Congolese voices. And please, I implore you to follow Peace African Hope organization, donate to their GoFundMe, share their GoFundMe if you don't have the capability of donating. And if you ever have an opportunity, join us at the Eyes on Congo live series that we have on TikTok and Instagram. Emmanuel is always there and is always speaking about what's happening on the ground. And it will really give you a clear understanding of how dire this situation is. It's not just about, oh, they're taking out minerals. Like, people are dying. People are experiencing atrocities that would make you question what world we're living in. So I really, really implore people to seek out more information.
Guys, Congo is still bleeding and capitalists are still taking. A good example is Barrick Gold, a Canadian mining company that is exploring gold reserves in northeastern DRC. They have been there for a while, and as you see from that headline, in Congo, Barrick sees gold reserves extending Kibali mine to 2040. Now, in as much as we're holding tech giants accountable for the exploitation of men, women, and children in the cobalt mines in the DRC, let's not forget about the other foreign multinationals mining the other minerals in the DRC, including gold, copper, diamonds. Let's not forget companies like Barrick Gold. Another company is known as Anglo Gold Ashanti. Go to these companies' websites, look at what they're doing in the DRC, hold them accountable. Show up at their headquarters if you can, email them, put pressure on them to do the right thing in Congo. It has to take all of us, because we know that these companies are benefiting the very few at the top. The DRC has maybe 10% stake in most of these mines, and all this money is going to them while local communities continue to suffer, continue to lose their livelihood because their farmlands have been polluted, fish are dead in their rivers, they're suffering all sorts of ailments from this environmental pollution. So when we see headlines like this, Africa's largest gold mine, now also one of its greenest, and this is on Barrick Gold's website, we know that it's a lie, and we have to tell them that we know that it's a lie. So let's all stay vigilant. Cobalt mining, gold mining, diamonds, copper, all of these things are found in the DRC, and we have to keep talking about them as a whole. Free Congo.
Bosses left but told the workers that if they didn't come in during a hurricane, they would be fired. The bosses left but told the workers that if they left before the floodwaters got waist high, that they would be fired. The bosses left but told the workers to pick between their lives and their livelihoods, and the workers lost their lives. This is a story coming out of Tennessee. Impact Plastics. Family members of missing people are claiming that their family members went into work because they were told that they had to, and now they are missing. 5 of them are confirmed dead. And what is occurring and what is pissing me off so bad right now is that the bosses are alive to tell the tale. They put out a statement categorically denying the allegations, saying that they told them to leave. They had a translator, they had somebody saying it in English, they had somebody saying it in Spanish. But what I will say is, if what the family members and if what people are saying is true, and the bosses decided to jeopardize the lives of workers just to make an extra dollar, I hope they lose everything they have, and I hope they rot in a prison cell. Workers are not expendable, okay? Workers are not pawns for you to use just so you can stuff your pockets. Our lives have value. Our lives matter. I truly hope that the people that are currently missing are found. Hurricane Helene wreaked havoc all over the Southeast. There are parts of Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina that will never be the same because of the storm. There are people dead, people that have lost everything, and I truly hope that they find these people out in Tennessee.
The new pink iPhone 16. Just take a nice close little look. See the beautiful pink color. Now, one of the things that I'm really excited to show you.
You don't need it. And honestly, there's no real innovation. Plus, right now, in the heart of Africa, there are children digging with their bare hands to mine cobalt, which is essential to power our smartphones. Imagine being just 7 years old, working long hours in hazardous conditions, risking your life for less than $1 a day. Also, companies like Apple can come out with the newest devices every single year Every year, we upgrade, we get excited about the latest features, but the people extracting these minerals remain trapped. They're exploited by the very system that give us our modern conveniences. They're paying the price with their future, with their health, and with their childhoods. We don't have to look away. By choosing to boycott the iPhone 16, we demand something more. We demand that companies like Apple put people before profit. A phone should not cost a child their future. If you want to make a difference, boycott the iPhone 16 and check out the Education for All project that the Future of Congo is working on along with Focus Congo. They're trying to create a safe space for these children to learn. You could find the link on my profile, or you could check out Focus Congo and they have it as well.
Just like, there's so much going on, like it's crazy. And then you see how they attack everything everywhere, but it's like, how do they fucking do this? Is like completely psychological warfare, right? Like this is and Palestinians have been warning us about this. Like this has been 76 years. Like what the fuck? And look, we have a year of this. Like what the fuck? And Sudan and Congo are like, Sudan is like on the brink of like hunger and stuff. Like guys, we really need to look at communities and stuff, and whatever money that we have, we need to give to Sudan. Especially those rich motherfuckers, billionaires watching and trying to control, manipulate. You want to try to silence us? Trying to silence us? It's not gonna happen, bitch. Your ritual, your cult, your fucking ritual shit, it's not working. It is fucked up that you're spending money and doing horrible things to people to get your way. You're fucked up. Fucked. And you know it. Does your card reader, your little warlock witches are telling you the tea? Are they telling you the truth? Are they? I hope so. If not, let me give you a little tea. Can I give you a little tea too? Yeah? Yeah. I hope that's clear. The other tea is that it's coming for you. That big negative karma, all that thing that you were thinking that was not going to happen, that you weren't that chosen one. You are chosen, absolutely. It's for all the shit that your parents, your legacy, your bloodline has been doing to everybody in this world. Can you imagine? I wouldn't want to be you, would I? Yeah. And this goes for the family of the families. Like anybody connected, everybody knowing, like, is that bad? Yeah. All those of us, we need to overcome this and work on how to survive, right? Because we also have in our hands climate crisis, which is something that this motherfucker decided to ignore and get all their money and fossil fuels and continue, even though we keep telling them for the past 7 years, you have to stop this shit. And then this genocide made it even more worrisome. It accelerated the fucking shit, right? These people are psychotic, for real. Free Palestine, free Congo, free Sudan. Free all the oppressed people from the river to the sea. Palestine will be free. Ooh. Palestine will be free. Oh yeah, it's going to be. And when that day happens, yeah. Just watch everybody else. Like everybody who was okay with genocide, who defended this. Yeah. Learn your boundaries. Keep your distance, right? These people need to, like, talk to God, you know? Like, they're on heel as fuck. Like, no heart, no soul, most of them. It's already snatched. And they're here just to pay karma. And they don't like it. So they get retaliated and they get evil and Kadevil. Even though that actually accumulates their bad karma even more. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, they know it. They know it too. God says, I am. This is really cool, sure. All the scriptures. Strong. You are strong. Anyways, I need to censor myself. But I love you guys.
See you next time.
هذا الفيديو من قطاع غزة بهديه لكل العرب وبالأخص لأخواتنا في لبنان وفي اليمن وبلادي عربية مليانة حرية وبلادي عربية مليانة حرية يا يما جوزي بنت فلسطينية بلادي عربية مليانة حرية بلادي عربية